what's up? Welcome back, Fins faithful. Well, for years, this team has been a knock on the Miami Dolphins. Fast team, speed team, but not built for Monday nights like we got coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cold weather, prime time, Pittsburgh. But this season, maybe are we crazy to think might be different? This isn't just, to me, the Dolphins versus the Steelers. This is a test of Miami's new identity. Are the Dolphins still this warm weather team, or they finally learned and how to build Mike McDaniel, how to be built for the cold weather? Let's count it down here on the Countdown to Game Day on Fins Faithful. Not only am I joined by my usual co-host on here, Curtis, but we got the co-host and co-pilot, Mr. Jason Sarney. Good morning, fellas. You got your coffee?
Yep. I'm glad Jason's here. I love Jason, man. Thank you for coming on board.
Of course. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, this should be a fun matchup. We're gonna get to all the
dude. This. I gotta do my little rant.
Go ahead.
Listen, all the stuff. I'd even say a little bit of the Bills game, because it was home and they have such a glaring weakness for the run game, and that's our strength. And McDaniel didn't wet the bed with that concept. All these games leading up, even Atlanta, is like soft evals in some ways. This has such a stack of key evals. I'm not saying it's going to point to the future. If we win, like, we're going to be awesome, but this is the exciting stuff. This is almost playoff level evaluation. These next 4 games, I don't think I did the AI stuff. It's about 16% if we go 10-7 to make the postseason. But these guys are coming back. And we have to be clear on that. And this eval is going to be amazing for so many reasons. I haven't been this. I didn't want to do film on the Jets game because it was such a conducive environment. This is going to be fun. I just wish they were healthier so we get a better eval. This is a great game, dude. I'm so excited because it's going to say so much.
I do think I think we should start off with the injury report because it's key guys and key factors. One guy already out for the Steelers, but I actually think this matchup, I don't hate it for the Dolphins. This is not your father's Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're going to get into that. But I agree with you, Curtis. Let's get into the injury report of the game because I think this is going to tell a little bit of the story in the game. So big news, obviously the TJ Watt thing, that's huge. Crazy. One of the strengths of the Steelers, I think they're 6th in the league in sacks. They bring a lot of pressure. Him being out, they still got, Highsmith and who's the other guy that their other pass rusher escapes our mind. But he's out there. 2 defensive tackles or did not practice or limited. The young kid, 2 young guys, Benton and Harmon. So that could be interesting.
Hair big.
Hairbig's the other guy.
And even Hayward.
Hayward might be out too.
Yeah,
he hasn't practiced all week. So let's see what happens today.
Yeah. And he's out. Malik Harrison, their linebacker, is limited, and he's the guy who comes in when it's in the big packages. They bring him and their other linebacker in, and then they have Peyton Wilson, who's more the fast.
Pierre was dinged up too. That's the best corner.
I like Pierre. I like Pierre.
Oh, yeah, he's playing great.
So and then they'll have to bring in probably Asante Samuel.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that concerns me about these injuries. For me, look, just like you, we can't control what happens next year. We can't control what Ross does and brings in here. But you know what I want? I want to know to the best of my ability, am I riding Hopium Lane, snorting up, vast copium amounts of it, or it is like some sort of reality. And if we win, and this is a ripped up team with a paper mache team, he's coming back, and then there could be, we beat one on the road. But if the team sucks, the evaluation gets masked and it's obfuscated. I just want to know if we're really doing well. We beat a full team like this. And McDaniel's finally figured out to run a damn ball. That's a big pop. I don't believe in McDaniel. I don't believe that this team's going to be good next year. But if we went and smashed this team with the run game, I would say, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to reconsider. So I hope this team's not totally gutted because it's going to be, the hopium is going. I mean, it's going to be like Scarface with the hopium that's getting poured out. And it might be valid, but it might not.
Is it the pockets of hopium, like I said, is there like a whole valley hope. We got a foreseeable future of opium. I think in 2 ways. Either this is going to be a reality check, or this is going to be okay. The Dolphins have found some sort of new identity. They're going to stick with it. I think
if we lose, it's brutal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
If they're this injured and we lose,
there's some matchups that favor the Dolphins. Go ahead,
but
Dave.
even if they were fully healthy, this is the formula type of a game that this last 4 games of the Dolphins were made for. And it's not just the simple aspect that the running game has been working. What McDaniel has done to help that work was, I think, the brilliance of making Brunskill that jumbo set 6th alignment. Because what it also does is it screams to the heavens, and anyone watching, we are going to not only commit to the run, but this is going to be a new smash mouth team. We'll get into the quarterback play a little bit. Trust me, I know that we will. But what
really? Who's the quarterback? I forgot.
Yeah. I don't know. It starts with a T. But one thing that the Dolphins are doing that is not a common thing is making this jumbo set an early and often aspect of their game. Another thing I want to add, and I'm sorry if I'm going to go off on tangents.
Go for it, brother.
There might be tangents.
If you don't, I will. And then, we'll just listen to me all the time.
Something that irked me earlier in the year, and I realized Jalen Wright was injured, but he was a healthy scratch for 4 or 5 weeks, and they had Achane and a rookie in Ollie Gordon. No hit on Ollie Gordon. But if you wanted to have this aspect of your football team earlier in the season, I truly believe even if the defense was playing horribly, they could have had a win or two more. Because how many times, Curtis and George, were the Dolphins looking good and they might have deviated a little bit from what was working and they went a little bit too heavy to say, let's get the passing game.
I got a question for you when you're done, dude. Keep going.
Go. No, go.
So, because, the conspiracies. Did McDaniel try to sink Greer?
Oh, I don't know. That's a whole other level.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
When I would wake up on a Sunday or look forward to the actives and inactives and see Jalen Wright on there, I'm like, what are we doing here? Because, and George, you love to say this, even if the running game and individual rushing attempts aren't necessarily successful, you're making the attempt to run the ball, which is giving the defense pause and saying, all right, well, this is not just a passing offense. This is a little bit more balanced or even run heavy. So we have to account for that, which could later in the game open up the pass. This is like 101, unless I'm at a different school of thought here. But what the Dolphins are doing tremendously is utilizing their personnel correctly. Folks, take that however you want to take that. But they're utilizing their personnel correctly, both in mass running and pulling back on the passing a little bit. Because ready for this, the last 4 games, they have run more in the first half than throw in the first half in each of those 4 games. So ready for this? And last thing, it's not just running the ball because they have a lead. Yeah, it's continuing to run the ball because that's what's got them the lead or that's what's got them in the game. Look at the Buffalo game. Look at 20 rushing attempts in the first half. And look at the first drive that they scored on. Run, pass, run, pass, run, touchdown. And it was a touchdown pass, but it was set up because they marched down the field with the run.
Yeah, and you said the conspiracy. Great points, Jason. You said the conspiracy, Curtis. To me, it's think Tyreek Hill. 2 things. McDaniel realized, oh boy, my job's on the line, and yeah, it's a lot different when Tyreek Hill's not pulling gravity with just Jalen Waddle. Now it's time for me to get my bag. But the biggest question, and it's why I question McDaniel, is again, why did it take this long?
I don't know.
And that's the question we got to ask. But the injury report for the Dolphins. Mostly Devon Achane looks like it's a go because I want to get at some points you talked about, Jason. I got some more numbers. But Achane looks like a go. Jack Jones was added to the injury report. And Aaron Brewer went from full participant to limited, I believe. Yeah, so I think all those guys will go. Maybe Jack Jones. When you get an injury addition late in the week, means it happened in practice. We don't know him. He's the one I'd probably keep an eye on. But, that's the biggest news for the injury. But, Jason, you mentioned the last 4 games. I want to talk about the last 4 games. And here's the difference, all right, in the running attack for the Dolphins in the first 9 versus the last 4. They run the ball the first 9 games 39% of the time, last 4, 61% of the time. Rushing attempts, 22 in the first 9, 34 in the last 4 average. Rushing yards, check this out, 97 yards per game in the first 9, 192 in the last 4. Yards per carry, 4.4 yards per carry in the first 9, almost 6 in the last 4. If that doesn't smell, if Mike McDaniel and that coaching staff doesn't look in the mirror, look at the paper and say, hey, what's the potion for us to win? Smells like a good one to me, Curtis. It's very clear what this team is built on, and they run. I know you're going to love this, Curtis. They run, I think, 43%, most of the league, multiple back sets. So more than one back, 43% of the time. And what the great thing about it, they run that outside zone, but they run the pistol more than anybody, and they line up guys in different spots. You don't know where the heck it's coming from. So it's very hard for the defense to key on that, Curtis.
Well, the thing for me is I almost wished McDaniel was so Machiavelli that he was trying to sabotage Greer, because that would make me like him more. Look, I've been doing this since 2021, and I started screaming, run the damn ball. And I've been fighting that battle, understanding of how this league is moving, past balance. I just did a podcast showing the difference between 2023 run game and our run game this year. It's critical, but how does a guy – and, and GM, I know to put guys, dead from the head up, but he's the coach and he might be the guy in the future. How come it took this long? How come basic stuff the rest of the league, the winning teams figured out years ago, it took this long? Even midway, I can understand the Colts game, but after that, it was unconscionable. And so while I'm celebrating him for what he's doing now, the question is, how can you be that stupid when, podcasters are going, look at these numbers, look at these analytics, look at this film, though. So it's good news. It could be good news for going forward, but if it took him this long, there's something a little lost there, and I think it relates to his inability to adjust. And we're going to have to see how it goes, because he's been very conducive environments. I mean, New Orleans, Washington, and the Jets, small fronts and bad fronts. So it will be very interesting to see that if he really has grown, or he's just going to fall back into that slow adapting thing going forward. But this will be a great test.
Shout out to the chat here, guys. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, little bell, subscribe. It takes a second. Support the channel, all the Dolphins, great content we have on here. Come on over to YouTube, ask some questions here this Saturday morning. We're with Curtis, my man from Ace Per Head. My co-pilot is always Mr. Jason Sarney, making a special appearance on the Saturday show. Jason, anything you want to add on? I know you had a great stat that got some colorful responses on X. 30 times they pass or more, they're 0-7. Is that what it is? 6-0 when they run 30 times.
Half of the stat is a very obvious stat, and I realize that. But when you have to add a couple of thoughts and eye tests to it, the stat is this. Like most teams, when you run the ball over 30 times, you're going to win. The Dolphins are 6-0 when they run the ball 30 or more times.
I think
that's fairly obvious.
The other one,
but it's the other one that's glaring and rather unique. They're 0-7 when they are forced. Sorry, bad word. Not going to use the word forced. They're 0-7 when they happen to throw 30 plus times. Now Tua is on the hook for 5 of those games, because a game like Cleveland, he was taken out. So there was more passing attempts. I think he was at 26, whatever. Yeah. But they are winless when throwing 30 plus times. Now, I went ahead and I looked at a lot of other teams that are in that comparison, whether it's quarterback or record or conference or playoff hunt, what have you. The Texans don't have a problem with that. They have a winning record. The Chargers have a winning record. The Packers have a winning record when throwing over 30 times. Of course, they also have an undefeated or a 90% win percentage when they run 30 plus times. But the fact of the matter could be a combination of things. Number one, Tua is not the guy from 2022, from 2023 physically. Number two, Tyreek Hill has been gone since week 4. Number three, even with Tyreek Hill, They started 0-3, and Tua had the first 3 games at 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Additionally, we bring in that 6th lineman component to make yourself a running team, which doesn't necessarily say we're going to take the ball out of Tua Tagovailoa's hands, but it kind of does, especially on Thursday when Tua is telling the Miami media, and I'll paraphrase, he just wants to win. He would love to throw more, but if we're winning with running, that's great. He would like to throw more, but they're not going to put him in a position to throw more because they are winning because of the run. So if this game in Pittsburgh starts off with the run and it happens to get to the point where it might need to be a shootout for whatever reason, that could be problematic, especially on the road in a hell of a lot colder and more elemental game than it was in New York. Look, let's all applaud that they won a game in 45-degree weather under the 46 marker. It was a really nice day. I was there. It was a really nice day. Okay? There was a little chill in the air. There was no wind. I don't want to call this a cold weather win. Okay? This would be a cold weather win in Pittsburgh with 15, 16 mile an hour winds and below 20 degrees, which makes the ball like a freaking boulder. And you got to throw through that wind. So let's see what happens. But I am a person that will not care whatsoever, statistically, if they win the ball game and the quarterback is 12 of 19 for 150, a touchdown and no picks. That's music. That's music to, I don't care. I don't care if it's 99 yards. In this particular situation, the formula for the Miami Dolphins should be similar to when they had middle-of-the-range skilled quarterbacks. The early 2000s with Jay Fiedler. Well, he had Ricky Williams. The running game worked. In 2008, Chad Pennington, cerebral, limited in his arm strength, but a very smart quarterback. Well, they had the Wildcat. 2016, Ryan Tannehill. Say what you want about him. Well, they had the Jay Ajayi unbelievableness. And obviously 2023 was a terrific offense, mixed with the fact that Tua was healthy, Hill was on the field, you had a terrific running game as well, but the league had since caught up to McDaniel's offense. Hill has been out of the game with his injury, and Tua is clearly, and I'm not saying he's hurt Vasilorov. He might not be hurt, but he might be scared to get hurt. Or he might be changing the mechanics because when you have a hip injury, I know it's not an arm or a shoulder injury, but it's a torque and a core injury. It changes how you might deliver a football or step into a throw or actually put some mustard on it.
And too, he's off. That's
exactly. And to tell you the honest to goodness truth, in this day and age of the NFL, and I'm not calling these quarterbacks like the end-all be-all, but I like the way a Baker Mayfield moves. I like the way a Drake May moves. I like the way a Jalen Hurts, push, whatever, can plunge over a line and put himself physically at risk to pick up an inch, pick up a yard. Tua is not going to do that. They're not going to put Tua in that scenario. When the pocket breaks down, it breaks down. And a lot of times, taking the sack, he'll just give himself up. When running a couple of yards, he will know, I have to slide. And it's going to be giving himself up before a first down marker. And he's not going to do a running back play. I mean, look, Jackson Dart does not make very smart decisions in turning himself into a running back, but you got to admire the mindset. He's got to be a little less reckless, but Tua is not even close to be able to do that. He used to be able to put his body on the line, and it was admirable, but he did not have, I mean, maybe he's built a little more fragile than others. It hurt him when he was diving headfirst or trying to lower his shoulder, what have you. But that's why there might be a problem with the quarterback in a regression type of a scenario. Loved what he did in 2022, 2023. But right now, this has to be a run first, run often team. And you need all three running backs to get, Achane 20 plus touches, Wright 8+ runs. Ollie Gordon, 6, 7+ runs. The number is 35 to 40 in my mind, the rest of the way out. And if you're down a touchdown, you don't have to immediately go to the pass. You can put together a 5, 6, 7-minute drive via the run. Rest the defense. That's another component. In these 4 games, the defense has been phenomenal because they've been fresh. Buffalo game, they out time of possession them in the first half, 19 minutes to 11. This is what you got to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. You look at the other side, the Steelers, they're last in the league running 55 plays. And their defense, because some of the stats don't make sense for the Steelers. Offensive line, Curtis, not that bad. You know what I mean? Personnel-wise, left tackle's an issue. I like Frazier. I like McCormick's not bad. Semo, the veteran on that.
Yeah. I'll never say that guy's name now.
Yeah. The left tackle, we'll get into that. But that's one of the reasons their defense is struggling because they can't run the ball. It's kind of like the old Dolphins offense. They only do 55 yards a play. The defense is tired. But you mentioned Tua. And look, people got to get to the realization, and this is where people are struggling because we went from this 23 Tua accuracy, lead the league in passing, high prolific stuff to where he is now. This is a game manager quarterback. Like, I'm not comparing him to Jay Fiedler, but this is the type of offense you have now. That's how he's been playing. Tua, right, statistically in rank, is probably in the 25 to 32 range of quarterbacks. At one point, I thought he was 12 to 15. Metrics, stats. Most importantly, the eyeball test tells you he has regressed. He's not the same quarterback. There's a number of reasons we could come up with hypotheses of why he's not that same quarterback. Injury, the hip injury, confidence, the O-line, number of reasons. The mental part of being afraid to get hurt again, that might be his last one. You see him thinking a lot out there. But again, we go back and we said it over and over again. When you have a quarterback coming out of college with a dramatic, traumatizing hip injury like that, that's not easy. That doesn't go away. It's fixed. But it deteriorates over time. And all people said coming out, everybody said coming out, in about 8 years, I don't know if he's going to have a longer career than that. And I think we're just starting to see that. And that's a shame for him, because maybe it's affecting his mechanics, Curtis. You watch when he doesn't have everything lined up right, he doesn't have enough juice on the tank left in it to get it out there, and you're seeing it. And he's making decisions like the decision, and this is stuff I saw for Tua before. Curtis, you could probably you would see this sometimes with Tua, but like the Jalen Wright pass, like he knows where it's going and he doesn't, go off that even pre-snap. His pre-snap intelligence, I said, is always way more intelligent than his post-snap intelligence. He looks at Jalen Wright, he's going to him, no matter if there's a Brinks truck in front of Jalen Wright, he's throwing the damn ball. And we've seen that before. The guy's back, was it Jalen? I think it was Jalen Wright, whose back's turned to him and he threw the ball. Like these little things now compounding. Where the hell is where's the short intermediate passing game? What happened to that? The accuracy at that level. All those things are just, everything he's done is just gone.
Before Curtis jumps in, I just want one last thing on the Tua, the combination of why they're running a lot and the eye test. I know it's a fantasy site, but FTN Fantasy put out a really interesting chart this week. And I know that there are big names on this list. In 2025, the highest turnover-worthy throw percentage, the leader in this stat, and that's not a good lead, is Tua at 5.1%. Josh Allen is behind him. Sam Darnold, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. Sure, there are some quarterbacks on there that he's in the comparison with. But the fact of the matter is he's leading the league in turnover-worthy throws. Like I don't care if there's other quarterbacks who are in that top 10. He's there and he's the number one at that negative metrics. It's like if you fail a test in high school and then you tell your parents, well, Johnny failed too. You know what my dad would have said? Well, you failed. I don't care what Johnny did. You failed. And that's where we're at. People are saying, well, look at the other quarterbacks regressing. Look at everyone else having it. I don't care about other quarterbacks. I don't.
Better than Ryan Tannehill.
You know what?
At his peak, yes. At his peak, yes. At his high of high, yes.
Tannehill was a very low ceiling kind of a quarterback. All right. And Tua's ceiling could be a little higher because remarkably more accurate. You know what I mean? Of course, Tannehill had that moxie to pick up and run, had a little bit more of that in him. Let's just call them comparable and kind of even in their own rights in the lore of Dolphins.
Tua's best day, he's better than Ryan Tannehill.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you that. But the fact of the matter is, I'm tired of the comparisons of this particular year. Well, Mahomes is having an off year. Well, Lamar Jackson is having an off year. You know what? Patrick Mahomes' off year this year, how would the Dolphins be if Tua is playing like that? An off year Mahomes is better than 95% of the league. All right? And to compare Tua this year to what quarterbacks are doing this year versus the lifeblood of their career, to me, is asinine. It's ridiculous.
Curtis, we have. I'm gonna shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys are coming over to YouTube here. Throw your question to us. Hit that thumbs up. We're previewing the Dolphins Steelers, and Jason's getting a little bit off his chest here.
A little bit.
Shout out to everybody. Good morning, Jorge. Good morning, Kenny. What's up, brother? How you doing, Jorge? Check out his channel. Jorge does great stuff over there. Adrian's in the house. All right, Curtis, you've been quiet for a little bit. It scares me. I need to hear your voice here. What? Go ahead.
Look. Evaluations have to have micro and macro. So what I'm going to say has nothing to do with pigeonholing this about Tua. It's just a general understanding. Football is about framework. You could see great players that fail in their framework. You could see bad players look better in the right framework. And we're going to move off Tua, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we're going to get another quarterback. You look at Tannehill, he was never in the right framework. You go to Titans, people are like, oh, he sucks. He went to conference championship. I don't care. We could have had Henry. We could have drafted him. We drafted McMillan. So it's got to be about understanding McDaniel's ability, this team's ability to create framework. So for me, a major way to understand framework, it's a very, very long thing. It's what are you sending in routes against opposition? So how many receivers are going against how many DBs? And when the more DBs that go into routes, the better options for a quarterback if he's able to go through them. And you'll look, the best guys, the best OCs, the best quarterbacks are having loads of guys in routes. It could be Tua sucks. But it goes back to more than that. Look at Mahomes. We have 144 true pass sets. Last week we had 3. We ran 50% play action. You look at Rodgers with a bad offense, 168. You look at Herbert's 220. Bo Nix is like 240. McDaniel's got to be able to, whether it's getting a better offensive line, designing better routes. If you got a guy with a noodle arm, why aren't you creating a scenario where there's more guys going on routes? And we have to remember, maybe this is just what he does for Tua, but we have a read progression system. So half the time, all he does is look and goes, what do I think this coverage is? It tells me where I go, and then I got to go because I have a quick clock. We have one of the quickest clocks. Whether it's Tua or the next guy, this is not conducive. No quarterback wants a quick clock consistently. And so, you know, people say, oh, the offensive line is not the best. It sucks. Yeah, it's doing pretty good in the run game, but go check what we do in the pass game. Check what happens in certain situations. I'm not saying it's as bad as last year. It's not, but it's not good. You just look at this framework, high play action, quick throws, low receivers and routes, bad true set numbers, bad true set success. If we get another quarterback, this has got to improve or he's going to struggle. There's no good quarterback that has, and maybe it is because Tua can't read. Maybe it's because he's got, but then even if he sucks and he's got a bad noodle on him, you want more guys in routes. And so whatever we get, what you got to move off to, he's too expensive. He's got too many questions about his injuries. His limitations are a concern. It has nothing to do with that. I think he can still find success elsewhere. There's other guys that do that, but he can't find it here because we're not in that cycle unless some amazing thing happens. But if people don't understand why Tua is struggling, not to say it's are we bringing him to his maximum? We never brought Tannehill to his maximum. We wanted him to be Dan Marino. It's like we had this idea. We take two who should never have been treated like Dan Marino. Tannehill should never been treated like Dan Marino. We try to make them Dan Marino. They fail and they say they suck. But what was the framework? The framework is a non-conducive environment. And whatever we see for the next quarterback, he better have a better framework. And if we as fans just say, Tua sucks, then you're going to miss it again, because this is the second go around of poor framework, and people just fixate, Tannehill sucked. Then he goes to the Titans. Well, he went over there with Henry. And now we're doing the same thing with Tua. And if we had the same idiots running the show, whether it's GM and coaches, trying to turn some guy who's not Dan Marino into Dan Marino and putting poor framework, we'll be repeating this conversation in 3 or 4 years. So the Tua has flaws. He always had flaws. What sane person builds a quick throw system with a poor offensive line, no run game, asks a guy to throw all the time, and then rushes him in 2020 when he's not healthy, doesn't know the system, bring him back with the 3 OCs, with the 35th best offensive line in football. And then you go into this, you spend 3 first-round picks and a dozen other picks on 2 receivers. Like, it was stupid, and especially with the way the cycle's going. And if the dunce over here can talk about it for all these years and say it, how do these morons not understand it? How did McDaniel take half a season to figure it out? And so whoever this next quarterback is, we've got to be savvy enough as fans to understand, he is not the guy. Now, maybe he could have been in 22, 23. I don't know. But if we do the same thing we did to Tannehill and to Tua, to the next quarterback, it's got to keep going back to leadership. So we have to understand what good framework is. We have to be savvy enough to see it and understand that. So when this new quarterback comes, and he's coming, I think 27, we can say, hey, you know what? Wow, these guys really grown. This quarterback is being supported, right? And I like the direction. So that's my take. Tua has got his issues, but no sane person would have built around that guy like they built around Tannehill the way they did and expect to get the most out of the dude. Whether he's a 5, you want to get him to be a 5. If he's a 3, you want him to get him to be a 3. Whatever he's capable of, his ceiling, that's what you're trying to get to. We never created that framework.
Shout out to the chat. A lot of draft talk in here. It's getting me excited in the chat.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, we'll get there. Shout out to Tony, ABA, Lou. What's up, Lou? Good morning. Jen checking in from
you better be checking in from Permanente Brothers, Lou. I want a shot of that sandwich. I love that.
Yeah. Shout out to Lou and Astor having their event up there in Pittsburgh. Go check them out. Follow their social media. You can meet up with them in the event they got going on. It's great stuff.
Yes.
Hopefully Lou could come on quickly on the post-game show. That'd be cool. Freezing cold in picture. He said, weather report, it's cold as balls. Yeah.
Hey, guys, do you think I'm wrong? Tell me,
wait. I want to get off that.
Please.
I want to go counter your thing. I agree with some of what you said. You said maximizing to what system now? What is the maximize? Like, was it 20?
I'll give it to you. I talked about it years ago.
And it's what I'm assuming it's a running game, protect them with the offensive line, play action, ball, all those kind of things that you're seeing what you want them to do now. But it's not that for me. It's 2023 was fool's gold. That was Vic Fangio said himself. I go back, that line that Dave Hyde told me, it just sticks with me in my brain. Dave's great. And he said, he looked at Vic Fangio, he goes, after that 70-0 win versus the Broncos, he said, what do you make of this offense, man? It's crazy. He goes, just wait. Just wait. They're going to figure it out. Let's not go crazy yet. That was fool's gold, right? And now my question with Tua is, forget about the scheme, the offense. He's not doing the same things he was doing. He's less accurate, the mechanics are off. Everything's just different. He looks not as athletic. Not that he was ever more athletic. It's the things athletically, physically, not even mentally, that he's not doing the same. I mean, these throws to me, Curtis, the middle of the field, the accuracy in the middle of the field was his superpower.
Mm-hmm.
He can't hit it anymore. I don't understand. Like it and what's changed there. But to me, it's a physical thing as much as a mental thing. If it wasn't a physical thing, I'd buy into it a little more. I honestly just think it's a regression of a player physically who's an old 27. That's just Now, you make good points about the system, and that's Mike McDaniel's fault. Mike McDaniel came in here, watched thousands of hours of film, and said, stop. No offensive linemen. Go get me the fastest wide receivers. And that's Mike's fault. And that's where Mike's going to lose his job eventually on, because you see where Mike's the best at right now is with this offensive line that you say is poor, the concepts, the stuff he's doing. You watch the film, out of the pistol, this guy in a bunch here, in motion, misdirection. It's the defense can't key on it, Curtis. It's very difficult. Eventually, they'll catch up to that. But that is where Mike's at his best. And I think Mike started off wrong. But go ahead, that's my take on it. I think you make valid points on Tua. Is he been put in the best situations? No, but he's been in a lot of good situations. You know, not a lot of people have Hill and Waddle to throw to and all these weapons. He was put into good situations. And now I think it's beyond that. I think it's a regression physically that's most, and it's affecting his mechanics as well. My take
George,
on it.
You mentioned his superpower being able to throw to spots in the middle of the field, and I agree with you. And then you look at, like, you know, he leads the league in interceptions with 14. If you look at a couple of those interceptions, sure, take a few away from maybe being, you know, wide receiver drops or deflections that kind of ended up as interceptions, a small percentage. But then you look at 3 throws come to mind for me that went to the middle of the field that were just horrible throws. Week 1 against Indianapolis, you're throwing an interception to Latu. Bad situation. Cleveland throws it before Cleveland, the Buffalo Bills game, week 3 or week 2, whatever, right in the middle of the field in the red zone. George, you went at length breaking down that film. Bad interception. And then in Cleveland, right over the middle of the field, just a bad throw. And then a 4th throw wasn't necessarily middle of the field, but the one that irked me beyond was getting a turnover against the Saints, then immediately throwing. And Tua did not have the wherewithal to just say, all right, I'm not going to throw it into double coverage down the field on a first down punt. Horrible. And if they lost that game, that was the play that you can go back to, because what Mike McDaniel should have done in hindsight after getting that turnover is run the ball once or twice, take at least a minute and a half, 2 minutes off the clock, get into the plus territory red zone where you could at least kick a field goal, add a couple of points to it, and then give Tua a shot at the end zone. Not immediately throw it downfield to double coverage and have it be an interception. And they got a little lucky that they won that game. That would have been the play to blame, that interception. So, yeah, I'm looking at the chat right now. Tua is a shell of himself. Absolutely. Joe Burrow and McDaniel together, I'm not going there just yet. Obviously, Burrow is an injured-prone quarterback as well. But one more quick point, and I'm not bashing Tua here. I'm not. I'm being an objective football person. Because in 2022, 2023, when I was highlighting all those stats, I was too much of a homer.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to be a little objective. Over the last couple of years and this year, I got 10 quarterbacks right now that I think are physically better than Tua. And then I'll tell you the range of quarterbacks that I think he's in. And if anybody wants to jump on in, I'm happy to discuss this. You guys too. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Drake May, Dak Prescott probably is in that upper range. And then you got guys like Love, Herbert, Hurts, Goff, and Mayfield. And then the conversation, I believe, can start with Tua. Lawrence, Tua, Caleb, Nix, Darnold, Jones, Stroud. That's top 12 territory at best right now. And if anybody wants to put their whatever on the line to say that Tua should be elevated to those top 2 tiers, I'd love to hear the argument. I'd love to see it. And I'd love to say, man, the Dolphins have a top 5 quarterback. Dolphins have a top 8 quarterback. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. It's just not.
And I want to say something. We're not here to part, and we're going to move off to it now and get to more of the game. But we're not here.
Can I just have one little part? I just want one little part response. So, I agree. For me, I've said in a long time, I think he could be anywhere between 15 and 12. Maybe he get to 10 when you get the right framework and a very good cast around him. And after the Broncos game, I lost a lot of subs because I said, yeah, this was great, but there's a lot going on here. This is not going to last. And I got a lot of hits on that. You know, like I didn't know what I was talking about. So I really try to be critical. But with Tua, It's not about now. He sucks. Not totally sucks. It's the core failures mentally. Although if you took like 10 turnovers away from him, these stupid decisions, you're like, oh, he's not that good. But it's these dumb. But I'm talking about from inception. We don't develop right. We look who no one understood. Like, how's this guy getting in 2020? Gailey said he's got to be healthy, know the playbook. At the end of the season, he goes, I don't know the playbook, and I wasn't healthy. So it was a bad start. And then you had Flores and him battling with the 3 OCs. But then you came back. McDaniel, you could see his star talent is people like him, and he could develop the run game. But his route combinations and concepts for throwing a football, they suck. I mean, yeah, the motions are nice and stuff, but it's all this blanket stuff. But real OCs, they got the nuance. They know how to dial in short plays and route combinations. There's mixture, there's adjustment. He doesn't have that. So we were living off this guy's like second talent. And Tua's not the guy that you want to do that with. And so the problem is, look, Tua is now where he's at. But oh man, I'm getting frozen up there. Never mind. Forget. I'm done.
Hey, that's the longest into the show it's taking you to get it.
You were rolling.
Yeah.
Man. But again, but we all are fans of this team. We cover this team, and we're objective, and that's the thing on this show. We're going to tell you, and if I'm wrong and Tua turns it around, I'll tell you that I was wrong and he turns it around. I mean, it's simple as that. Opinions can change. I'm telling you how I see it.
We got to move off the guy, dude. We got to move off him.
Oh yeah, that's. We said it weeks ago when we were one of the last shows to say it's time to move on. And I've told everybody and I told the listeners, the way I run, the way I do this objectively and I study film and everything I do, when I know it's time, I will tell you. And that should generate every time you watch this show with Jason and my people. It's real, it's honest, and there's no narrative-driven bullshit here. Okay.
Hey, George, do you think it happens in 26 or 27? I'm thinking 27.
Okay, so that's an interesting question because 26 is a weird year. First of all, it depends on what they do. Who's the GM? What do they do with the coach? How's the kind? If they run it back with McDaniel and Champ Kelly, I think you have Tua or you have a bridge guy because then you can still move off both of them in 27. If you bring in a new GM, maybe or a new coach, because Champ technically is the new guy, maybe the 26. But the class, I don't love it. I mean, there's guys there. 27 is a better class. You'll have more. Should have more money, dead money off the books at 27. Because Curtis, 26 is weird. Like,
yeah, it is.
You're going to get worse again. You're going to be cutting veterans. You're going to get younger. You have draft picks. So it's interesting. It really depends on if they like a quarterback. 27 quarterbacks probably better. But you know what's funny? There's quarterbacks in every draft. And you say that then you get to the 27 class and you go, it's not as good as I thought. So you also got to be careful with kind of projecting 2 years ahead on guys. Guys could get hurt. Guys, the NIL, guys could come out. But I think the decision has to be made. I asked Armando this. Do you think in the building when Ross, they know it's time to move on? And I sure hope so. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Jason.
If everybody wants to see George's face light up right now, it's going to happen in about 3 seconds. If Tua stays.
No.
If Tua stays and McDaniel stays and Champ Kelly stays, and we're going to see one more year of this, I'm very curious to see what they add to this team. My number one want, George, I think you know what's coming. I got 4 wide receivers that I'm clamoring for, and I want one of them very specifically. I don't necessarily think you go Carnell Tate or Denzel Boston in like the first round, but if you're looking at a second-round wide receiver that I think can extremely elevate this offense, and even a quarterback like Tua, is Nick Harbor. I want to. There you go. It's what I say. Is that a good thing? Is that a good head nod or a bad?
He's a freak of nature.
He's a freak of nature. And what it allows
Did he get hurt?
to do.
I thought he got hurt though. Did he
get hurt?
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The player.
I'm hoping he's
player,
Nick Harbor. That right.
Yeah.
Or Jacoby Lane would be another one. You know
There's
what I mean?
A ton. I know it's
I want
of big wide receivers in this draft.
6'3" or above wide receiver to pair opposite of Jalen Waddle and make Malik Washington that third slot kind of receiver. So you need a triple-headed monster at receiver, not all speed guys. You need that basketball player type of a guy. I loved Jaden Higgins coming out last year, and he's just starting to turn it on. The Texans drafted Jaden Higgins having Nico Collins. They're almost carbon copies physically of each other. And they also drafted Higgins' college teammate in Jalen Noel, And if you look at the best record of teams who throw 30-plus times, the Texans are amongst them. That's neither here nor there. But if Tua is back next year, I want a tall wide receiver.
What about tight end?
No, I was going to say.
Tony said Harvard's not already. They said that that's the question, but they said the same thing about DK Metcalf coming out. I mean, he's similar. I
want a viable target that is not necessarily a speedster, because you have that guy in Waddle, who I really do like a lot. And I think he is a bona fide 1A type of a receiver. And when you get down to the 30, the 20, inside the 10, you need that go up and get it type of a guy. And it's not going to be necessarily Darren Waller for the next 4 years. You maybe got another year of him at that. Dulcich, yes, I like him.
Nice little find. Dulcich is a nice little find.
Very good find. Very good over the entire aspect of the field type of a tight end. But I want two big targets, whether it's a tight end and a wide receiver, two more wide receivers, what have you, that can make life easier on Tua. Throw the ball in the back end of the end zone. If you want to do a fade to the corner, don't do a fade to Achane. Don't do a fade to Malik Washington. Do a fade to a 6'4" wide receiver who can go up and get it. And if he can't go up and get it, some 15-year-old in the stands catches the ball and gets a souvenir. That would be terrific. Our draft picks are what? We have 6 draft picks in the top 110 picks.
Yeah,
you got to get a wide receiver there.
Kenny asked, "What are our draft picks next year?" Yeah, we have
first, second, third.
3 threes, 6 in the top.
Yeah,
5 in the top 100. 5 in the top.
I think you have 6 in the top 110 where we are right now.
10. Yeah,
that's a team building draft.
And we don't know the comp pick we're going to get. With it, all things kind of the math on that is strange. Julian Hill blocking his ass off. I agree, and
100%.
And I think, let's get into more of the matchup of the game now after this, but. I think with Tyreek, another thing we're talking about, we saw Tua at his peak with Hill Waddle. This is the first time we've seen Tua back to not having a Tyreek Hill, just having one receiver for an extended period of time. Also, that affected him. But still, again, physically, the things he's doing are still different than what he was doing a year ago or even 2 years ago. That's that. But I think with Tyreek Hill's injury sped up, the change you're going to see in this offense, regardless who takes over. Bigger receivers, bigger up front, tight end, like where it should have been all along. But I think with Tyreek's injury and him being gone, I think also what went out of the way is that offense. You're never going to see that extent. That's that kind of offense again in 23, which was a lot of fluff, a lot of style, not substance. It wasn't going to last anyways. And I think now they're going to transition to more like what you want, Jason, bigger receivers, a little more versatility in the room. You can have a Waterhouse, a 6'3" guy who can not end up not Nick Westbrook, a kind who doesn't do much. A real threat, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to be a.
You mentioned DK Metcalf.
It doesn't have to be a Nico Collins, but it's got to be somebody. So ideal word, you get a T. Higgins with a Jalen Waddle kind of player next to him or something like that. And that's when you really see the offense and you build up front and you have a back with some size. But yeah. Go ahead, Jason. Then we'll move on to
it's the macro and the micro of what type of an offense, and there's balance. So overall balance in the idea of run and pass, sure, but overall balance in personnel. All right, my speed guy is being checked by a cover corner who's equaling the speed and taking him out. Well, you know what? Let me find a tight end mismatch against a linebacker or a Z wide receiver who I can throw a lob to, and he can come down and get it over a 6 foot at best cornerback. Balance. That's what they need. And when you have 6 picks in that top 110, you can get an interior lineman, you can get a cornerback, you can get another defensive back, and then you can literally get those weapons, and you're still on the third.
I didn't freeze. It was you this time.
Picks where they can get viable help.
All right, everybody in the chat, thank. Guys, keep going in the chat. Come on over to YouTube. Thumbs up, a little thumbs up. That little
Thanks,
bell.
Jason, 1 second. You made me feel good.
1 second. It takes 1 second to hit the bell. and check out all our great content. And also, I want to mention, we've announced on the 22nd, I think we're going to do our book giveaway. Jason, our Christmas special. 2 gifts. Armando Salguero's 100 Things Dolphin Fans Should Know Before They Die. And then Dave Hyde's Still Perfect, The Untold Story of the 1972 Miami Dolphins. So both of these books, one loyal listener. Make sure you're a subscriber. Make sure you're active in the chat, the comment section of the video. We're going to take a bunch of names randomly generated and pick 2 of you guys to win one of these books each. We appreciate the support all year. It is our thank you, and this is great read, both of them. I know Curtis will appreciate that.
I think I'm going to make a fake account and call myself Miguel and get into the running.
No, we're going to have a 3-way verification on who we give this book to. We need to see the person, know the person, subscriber of the show.
So be active here in the next 10 days. We'll announce 22nd. We'll have our obviously our recap of the game, and then Christmas special that day, that evening, and we'll announce the winners. And it'll get to you after Christmas, but it's a holiday season, right? All right. Let's guys, I like Collins from the Panthers. Okay. All right, so let's get into the matchup here, the game plan of the offense for the Dolphins. This Steelers defense, let's look at the tail of the tape. I know I'm going to show Curtis's, but here's just the tail of the tape. Dolphins offense versus the Steelers, 27th and 25th. Dolphins passing offense, 28th. Steelers, 23. Rushing offense, Dolphins, 8. Steelers 29th. Scoring offense 22nd versus the Steelers 14. Sacks allowed 8. We're 14. Third down offense. More importantly, the total defense 28th in the league, the Steelers. And we're 19th. We moved up a lot in those last 4 or 5 games, up to 19. Passing defense. Look at the Steelers. And guys, I told you this is not your father's Steelers. 28th in passing, 21 in run defense. They gave up 217 to the Baltimore Ravens last week. Our rushing defense is 25th, but again, we're on the rise, and passing defense has been good all season. Scoring defense, 19 versus our 15. Sacks, they rank 6th, we're 15th. And then third down defense, 27, 16. Takeaways, Steelers, 2nd. That's big. We're 10th, even though we've been also another stat, we've been on the rise. And then giveaways are 11th. We're 23rd. So, again, Steelers not very good statistically. Then we have Curtis. You have this graphic here. Explain your color code and explain this graphic here for the fans.
Basically, it's the last 3 weeks. It's really because the Dolphins get skewed a lot by a very bad beginning. But I want to kind of generate what the teams are experiencing the last 3 weeks. But I also have a color coding, which means green means one side has a strong edge. Orange means it's roughly similar. And, immediately you can see we've got almost every single edge over the last 3 weeks. But a contextual thing to apply to this is they've got the strong edge of better teams. They've faced the Bears, the Ravens, and the Bills, where we faced the Jets, the Commanders, and the Saints. But still, offensive points per game, you can see 17 and 13. It's about a field goal difference. It can play out big, but it's generally about the same. You figure on the road that 3 points gets knocked away, so it's about neutral. Offensive pass yards per game, 22nd and 30th. Maybe you give them a little edge for 50 yards, but there's going to be strong gusts of 17 miles per hour, and maybe that weakens Tua more than Rodgers, so maybe you'd want to give it to them, but I put it in neutral. Offensive rush yards per game, strong edge, 190 to 92. It's over double. And a game like this, that's a major edge. Rushing attempts, 26, 23.7 to 4th for us, 34.7, 35. And again, these are critical aspects. We did do it against lesser competition. You got to consider that. But still, philosophically, I think this is really good for us. Yeah. Offensive turnovers, they're giving up 1.3, us 0.3. We've been very controlled with the football, not turning it over, knock on wood with Tua. Defensive pass, DPA, defensive pass yards, 22nd. And we're third. Oh, no, points, sorry. They're 22nd with 26. We've only given up 13.3. That's crazy. Third. Defensive yards allowed, 24th for them, 10th for us, almost 100 yards difference. Defensive pass yards allowed, 12 for them, 14 for us, about the same. Rush yards, look at that. So if you take our 190 that we generate and they're 188 allowed, and you pull out Watt and maybe some of these other guys, if we don't win, then I would say sink the whole damn ship. 10th, again, for us, 106. So they can't run the football. We stop it. Defensive turnovers, we're creating more. Of course, we play lesser competitions, quarterbacks especially. So 2.3 to 1.7, but we had the edge. But I would still say contextually, it's probably better for them. Time of possession, look at that, 25.8. No wonder they got all these injuries. We're at 31.15. That's fantastic. And then penalties, that's one of the huge things. Daniel only getting 4 over the last 3 games, and they got 6, which is not terrible, middle of the road. But when you compile this all together, I think it says we have a strong edge.
Like I said, this matchup, everybody looks at Pittsburgh Steelers, cold weather. You look at this matchup on paper, it favors a lot of the way the Dolphins, and you see the time of possession. I told you they run 55 plays a game. That's the worst in the league. And that's most likely from you see the lack of running game. And now, as I bring us our beautiful faces back, the lack of running game is hurting the defense. Whereas to us, you see all the things we didn't do well those first, 8-9 games we're doing. Penalties, turnovers are up. Defense, you really see the running game and the defense are really risen the last 4 games. And those are the things that lead to success. But I want to take a look at our game plan offensively. How would you attack these guys? Their safeties are weak. I know Duggar was banged up. They have what's his name?
Ramsey and Peppers.
Ramsey and Peppers, and they have the other Jabril Peppers. Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking. Corners, Joey Porter Jr. And then they have Pierre, who I liked. If not, Asante Samuel Jr., a guy who was hurt, and they signed him recently.
Eccles is good too.
Eccles is good, and then they got some young defensive tackles I like, and they got. Again, they're 6th in the league in sacks, and they're 30, and they're 6th in blitz rate. They blitz 35. They blitz 35.3% of the time. That's 6th in the league. How does Tua hasn't been great against the blitz? How will we handle that? Even with J.J. Watt, that's huge. That's why the J.J. Watt injury is humongous. I hope he's all right. He had the lung collapse here. It looks like he's going to be all right, which is the most important thing. But how will Tua hold up again? They still have Highsmith. They still have other guys in the interior. I like the 2 young defensive tackle. I like Benton, the young defensive tackle they have. And then they blitz a lot on early downs. They're 6th in the league. 33% of their blitz are early blitzes, which first and second down. That's 6th in the league. Their defense, they run zone. They run a lot of zone, but they mix their coverages a lot, right, Curtis? Like they use a lot of different stuff. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to blitz this team a lot, but not for the pass. They're going to blitz to stop the run. I think there's a game they're going to say they're going to make Tua beat you. This is that game. That's going to be their thing. They're going to send the house on the running game, which I will say the Dolphins have been successful. A-Chain, and because the problem is they don't exactly know where it's coming from because of all the motions and changing the same play they run, but different variations of it. So when that team blitz, A-Chain's able to find that little gap and get to the second level. So they've been successful. How will they stop that? But also, what will they do? I think there's going to be possibilities here. I'm going to say this. There is possibilities for Waddle in the passing game in this game. There's going to be possibilities here. I would attack that safety. Especially if they bring guys up, those safeties. I don't think they're very good in pass coverage. Ramsey, like you said, primarily playing free safety, but Duggar, the other one. That's something. Will McDaniel get caught up in the spotlight of wanting to be the glorified, kind of high prolific passing game again? Will he get caught in the moment? I think his discipline needs to stick with the run because there's going to be some shots. There's going to be some shots in the passing game here with Waddle. I can see Waddle having a big play or two. I think that'll be the difference if they can get a big play or two in the passing game. But that's how I kind of see we'll start with you, Curtis. Your game plan here offensively for the Dolphins versus this Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Well, there's going to be 17-mile-an-hour gusts. The ball's going to be a little cold. And that really hurts, when you do the numbers, they got to do a whole science on it. Once you start getting to about 12, you see an effect. and 15 start seeing like a smaller effect. Did I freeze? No.
We're laughing at the comment.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, Jason's always
Jordan Murray.
Jordan's pretty right on that. I'm thinking of something.
Yeah. Jordan, we're gonna have sorry to cut Curtis off, but on the 22nd, our Christmas kind of special / recap of the game on Monday. We're not gonna do a Wednesday show, Christmas Eve. We're gonna have a Christmas draft of movies, and Jason's got pick one. I've already let him know that. So Curtis,
and my phone is off the hook. No one's calling me for a trade. My pick.
That's funny.
All right, go ahead. Thanks everybody in the chat. Go ahead, Curtis. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, look, there's gonna be 17-mile-an-hour gusts. Tua, because he gets a little antsy with his platform, his armor isn't that the best. This could be a problem, and so they're going to have to stop the run. And if I'm them, I'm pulling Queen out. He's really struggling. I'm bringing Peppers and Duggar in. I'm definitely if you look at what happened with the Bills, Cook found a lot of clogged lanes and bounced them out hard. And then they over pursued.
Yeah, and Rodgers hit some deep shots there and forced it to Metcalf. He took some deep shots to Metcalf in that game as well.
So Achane is not a hard cutter. He's a blazing bender, and so we've got to. If Watt was in, it'd be very difficult because with Highsmith and Watt, they could really cap the edges. So they're going to have to commit to the run game. They're going to have to allow the pass. Tua is going to have to get his passes off because they play zone. You look at the Jet. I don't know why teams play man against us. It's so stupid.
Well, Baltimore played man against. Look what happened with Metcalf.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are good, and I don't think the Dolphins are going to do that. But yeah, they play. Primarily, the Steelers play zone. They mix things up, but their primary coverage is zone, right, Curtis?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're good because you got Ramsey's going to be, and it's going to be very interesting. You got Jonnu Ramsey and Minka. That's going to be a story within the story. So from a defensive standpoint, they're going to want to stop the run. If they stop the run, it's going to put a lot of pressure. You got to keep them off schedule. We've got to stay on schedule. We've got to hit them inside. We got to hit them outside. We got to be committed. We got to be patient. We got to work off the play action. See if they're blitzing well. McDaniel's got to show that he can catch them in a blitz with the right call, and he kind of struggles at that. So we've got to be balanced. We cannot force Tua to win this game because he's going to struggle. But if you look at his cold games, he doesn't really have poor cold games like people say. You look at his numbers, like 9 touchdowns and 1 int.
I just want to cut. It's this narrative of the cold weather. It's not the cold. It's wind and it's the opponent. Yep. It's not like we're losing to the Cleveland. We did lose to the Cleveland Browns, but like pick your team. It's we lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in cold. We lost to the Baltimore Ravens. We lost to the Buffalo. It's the opponent. And that's been the problem in Mac McDaniel's whole tenure here. It's not just cold. It's cold weather. It's in the sun, in the heat, in the cold, in the snow, wherever you want. It's they beat up on the bad teams. They're not good versus the very good teams. It's the same thing in the cold. The wind could have a factor on Tua, but not the cold weather. And I think the big question is, I like the matchup, so more I like the identity test it's going to give them. Okay? It travels. The problem is when you're this high prolific pass, it doesn't travel in December and January. This kind of system travels, and so that's what I'm curious about. Go ahead, Kurt. Yeah. To me, and also the big package, they bring in Malik Washington as their linebacker. Not Malik Washington. What's his name? Their linebacker, Malik Harrison. They bring in Malik Harrison and Holcomb in that when against the big packages, but they bring in Peyton Willis, their linebacker, who can. I love them come out of the draft. He can really run. He's a guy I want to keep him off the field. So because he can really cover tight ends. He can really cover. But yeah, in their big packages, you'll see Malik Harrison and Holcomb in. I just wanted to throw that point in. Go ahead.
No, it's great points. It's great points. For me, it's McDaniel. McDaniel has a tendency to run the football a lot when he's got the lead early. He's going to have to be patient, and it's probably going to be a close game. He's going to have to run to wear this thin defense out and kind of build up the body blows. I don't think we're going down the field and getting 14 points ahead like the Jets. So he's going to have to show that he's not going to get nervous, start calling reverses and, triple reverses, jet sweeps, and then deep bombs. And, because you don't want to be behind the sticks on these guys. So that's the key. On defense, look, they can't run the football. You're going to have to make sure Metcalf doesn't get off. Rodgers can move. He's looking pretty good. He's his last season, but he's moving pretty well.
He's got that look in his eye that worries me a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, and you said they can't run the ball. They use their running back. The offensive line I thought should be better in the run blocking, but they use their running backs as the run game out in the flat, the screen game, Gainwell and Warren. Yep. That's mostly where they get their stuff going. And that's what you got to look at because they don't run. Like I said, I think they're in the bottom. They're in the bottom of the league and running the ball. They don't have a big back. They drafted Caleb Johnson. He hasn't worked out. They lost Najee Harris in the offseason. They don't run. Their weapon is DK Metcalf. Their running backs are their second and third leading receiver on their team.
That's crazy.
And they have 3 tight ends over 20 catches.
The fact that if Washington's out, that's not Washington. Yeah, Darnell.
He's like another.
Dude, I want to draft
the Dolphin Nation. Yeah, so go ahead. That's kind of defensively. Watch those backs and their left tackle. Yeah, Project Jones is out.
And if the biggest concern too is Rodgers. He gets to the line of scrimmage and he's changing everything.
Yeah,
and so that's something we haven't really seen. There's going to be a lot of chess pieces moving, and these guys that we got, they're going to be tested because Rodgers, he's seen it all. So that if we can handle that, if we can keep them in that third and long, keep Metcalf down, forget it.
Yeah.
And pressure. It's pressure. You got to get pressure on Rodgers.
Yeah. Attack that left side. I said Project Jones has been out.
Yeah.
Austin Pete, he's got a concussion. I don't know if it's going to be him or they're down to their –
I got
Dylan Cook. They're down to him. If he's – Chubb's got to take advantage of that chop on that left side and get pressure.
Especially if Washington's out. Darnell Washington. That's a big hit, dude, if he's out.
And don't give Roger confidence. Don't give him one of those big plays early on. All right, Jason, let's go to you. Offensive game plan, defense, kind of your thoughts on what you should do here against the Steelers.
All right. I'm going to go back to the Buffalo game to just kind of throw a little comparable. I mean, obviously the last 3 games, subpar opponents. I get that. So let's go to the last really good opponent that they beat via the run. The first possession that the Dolphins had, they started off with 3 straight passes. The third pass was an interception. Okay? That's number 1. 3 straight passes. Third pass was an interception. Luckily, the Dolphins defense came in. They gave the ball right back to the Dolphins. Now, McDaniel, I don't know if he just said to himself, all right, let me flip that script. 8 runs, 2 passes, 7.5-minute drive. It obviously ended in a short touchdown pass, but that was set up by the run. And again, a 7.5-minute drive. Defense fresh, defense dominant against the Bills. Secondly, utilize the tight ends. Short and a lot. And that means Dulcich in the middle of the field when you're, in your own territory and when you're approaching plus territory in the red zone. Once you get into the red zone, that's Darren Waller world. If you're inside the 10, I want to see at least 2 targets in the end zone to Darren Waller. Okay? Third, we talked about Tua's interceptions, and I referenced the turnover-worthy plays that he leads the league in them. His percentage is like 5.1%. Let's turn that into the raw statistic. And if you want a great analysis on this, go look at John Gruden's breakdown of it. I know a lot of people don't love him as a coach, but at least love him as a football mind. Okay? 23 turnover-worthy plays, which means that there could have been an interception. Defender dropped it. Could have literally been a catch from the defense, but it just didn't materialize into that, but it was a turnover-worthy play. 23. You have to limit the deep shots mixed with the wind. I know that the Steelers don't have a good passing defense. They don't have a good rushing defense either. The last 2 games combined, 466 yards given up on the ground. So the game plan is run, pass, run, pass, run. Wait,
I gotta write that down. Hold on, Chase, I'm writing that down.
I mean, you do it, and you
jump out early. Then they gotta jump. I want to see them play from a 7 like a behind by not that's crazy. I'm just curious. I want to see them play from behind.
I know.
But not like 14 down 7-0. He panics at that point. You know?
Correct. So
I'm
if the
just
Steelers
curious.
start off with the ball and they go up 7-0, that does not mean throw.
Throw 3 straight times. Yeah.
That means even the score with what you do best and run the ball. Now, if you want to get into the mental game and if you want to get into that ha-ha mindset, Jonnu Smith wanted out of Miami. You got 2 tight ends. Use them a lot. Make them an integral part of the offense after the run. Because obviously they're going to try to do everything they can to take away Jalen Waddle. And then as much as I love Malik Washington, they don't utilize him enough downfield. And like Curtis said, I don't want any of these trick plays behind the line of scrimmage. 1 or 2 is nice when, it could be nice, but I don't want that crazy ball fake, blah, blah, blah scenarios. Try to utilize your best playmakers a little bit more downfield. But if you utilize Dulcich and Waller in the aggregate into basically making them one viable threat tight end, I think that they could really do damage once they get into scoring territory. So it's got to be heavy run. Make Tua allow his playmakers to do work after the catch. And I don't want to see any cutesy, all right, well, we're up by 10. Now we're going to take a shot deep downfield because it's first down and I just want to get Tua confident again. I don't want that. I don't want to give them an ability to get a turnover if they're down 10, score, and now we're wondering, here we go. This is a Saints game. This is a Panthers game all over again. Yeah. Do not deviate from what works. If it is a boring game, tell you the truth, I love boring football. I love running and I love defense. I don't care if they win 9-6. I don't care. Offensive linemen have the most fun when they are running the ball. The defense is at its best when they are rested, fresh, and they can come on in and get the ball back from the offense and go have the best seats in the house to watch an offense stay on the field for 6+ minutes. That is the formula. Because if you don't think that Jalen Ramsey is literally barking to every one of his mates in the secondary that you better pick off Tua because this is what he's going to do. This is what it is. This is what he is. I'm going to get myself a pick. I'm going to take one back to. I don't think anybody on the planet wants to embarrass the Dolphins more than Jalen Ramsey. That's just the kind of player that he is. So I'm not going to give him an opportunity to.
And I said Aaron Rodgers has that look. Last game, I thought he was pretty good against the Ravens. They beat the Ravens 27-22. They're going to force it here. And we talked about the keys to the game. You mentioned a bunch of them. Don't let Metcalf beat you. And don't let a big play happen early on because when Rodgers gets going, you see it with him. He feels confident. He plays better, and they got to protect. The Steelers are going to bring the blitz, whether it's to stop the run up. They're going to bring pressure, and I think they're going to try to attack that right side of the Dolphins' offensive line. They're 6th in the league in sacks, and I think you're going to have a big player too. To me, the game plan offensively is similar to what they've done. Don't change it. If it's working, don't change it. And you look at the matchup, this Steelers defense is not great against the run. They're really not great against the pass either. But this looks like a good matchup for them. And to me, be careful with the stuff in the flats, the short passing game with Gainwell, and that's their running game. Gainwell to Warren, and you got to be careful with that. And turnovers, win the turnover battle. Don't turn the ball over because this Steelers team defense turns the ball over. Part of the reason why they're 7-6 and their statistical rankings are not great. So those are another key, the return game. Calvin Austin's a good little player. So
good point. Good point.
One last aspect and who I think is going to be one of the most important people on the field for the Dolphins defensively. And I love this kid. And please, again, don't look at statistics. Jordan Phillips.
Yeah.
This is a game where Jordan Phillips is going to have to do his part into eliminating the run.
And he's played in Maryland. He's used to
right.
Yeah, he's used to
this. This is a kid who
no sleeves.
I was going to say.
Roll off the ball, zero tech.
Monday night at like 7 o'clock when everyone's watching the pregame and you see the road players who are used to warm weather trying to show that they're tough out, maybe no shirt on, no sleeves. Jordan Phillips is that guy, I think. He is having a good enough rookie season where you could see how valuable he is without needing to get statistics. The overall value of what he could do for a defensive front and an overall run-stopping defense. Yeah, say what you want about Kenneth Grant. Say what you want about Zach Sealer, but Jordan Phillips is going to have to allow those guys to get their tackles for losses, open up the holes. Jordan Phillips could get himself a massive pat on the back without massively adding his stats.
All the young guys have played better now recently.
Right.
I mean,
and Zeke Biggers too. Zeke Biggers is a guy to watch too.
What was I going to say? As a rookie, Grant's played like 51% of the snaps. Phillips like over 45%. That's a lot. So let's quickly go to this. Curtis, you got to get out of here by 12, right?
Nah, man. I'm under the weather, so
okay.
I'm just doing this today. I gave everything I got for you guys.
Playing hurt, Curtis. I love it.
Curtis, you want to jump anything on any keys that we didn't mention or anything we did mention?
Yeah, one. Listen, this game is. I've always said it before. This game is about violence. This game is going to be a violent game. They're playing for legitimate playoff opportunity, maybe playing for Tomlin's time with the Steelers. We're playing for like 16% if we go 10-7. We're playing more for our personal self. But them, there's more online. They're in their house. This is a cold environment. We're coming from a warm environment. A lot of the stuff, we have a strong edge when you look at it, especially with the injuries. But there's a lot of veterans there. There's a lot of veteran coaching staff. There's guys that are noted to be violent. The violence level, the ability to be mentally tough, physically tough, is going to play a major part. And that's why we have to run ball. They got 3 DTs that are injured. You've got to beat the hell. This is going to be – yeah, I mean, Waddle, you don't think Waddle's going to get some extra shots? You don't think that the DC is saying, all right, go to let him catch us over here early and I want you to pop him in? That's what we got over here. This is pure violent game. We've got to match that discipline and violence, and it starts with the run game. So that is the intangible, and that's going to say a lot because, you know, all these other environments, they're one thing. This is going to really test who we are and what we can do, and that's going to be a key for me.
Yeah. Again, it's the identity crisis meeting. Which way is it going? I said at the top of the show, I think this is either a reality check or the start of, okay, they are actually doing this, and this is a new identity under Mike McDaniel. And you know what? I've been all hard on Mike about coming back next year, and I still stand with that. But if he's going to build this team on this new kind of identity, and he's going to learn from this, because I know one of the things that Stephen Ross was afraid of, which I heard, was he's afraid of the Dan Campbell situation. This guy's going to be better in his second stint. So is this almost like his second stint within the stint? You know what I mean? Because he's now re-identified himself to which he should have done the whole time. So, you know, this will be a big I'm still not a fan of the guy as a head coach. I think it's more than what he's done on the field. I think it's the fabric of being a head coach. I don't know if he has it. And again, I told you it's overrated that guys play for him. If they hate you, Mike McDaniel's a guy you're always going to play for. You don't hate him. You like the guy and you like your situation. People underestimate that point. These guys like being here. It's laid back. It's easy. Jordan Brooks is a leader. Did you hear the comment? He was quiet for the first 6 months, and all of a sudden he's the leader of the team. Didn't that catch you guys by surprise? Like something's what's going? It's like everything they do is months late, 6 months late, 6 games late. Everything they do is late. What is the problem?
Speaking of that, the funny thing is that this is not a surprise to me that McDaniel is now utilizing a heavy run set and creating these concepts and bringing in the 6th line. He was a run game coordinator. That's why he was successful. He is a guru in the run game. A lot of people were saying that he was like the quarterback.
You're seeing it now, Jason. You're seeing it now.
Dude, he was a psychological help to Tua. Sure. He helped Tua. That's sure.
That's
absolutely.
why he got the job, and that kind of probably put him in a different direction.
Okay.
You know what I say? He was the head coach of Tua Tagovailoa, not the Miami Dolphins in the beginning.
But with that said, his strength is coming up with the run concepts. His strength is the creativity. And while in 2022, 2023, the motion offense, the passing game, yes, with Tyreek Hill, that was an awesome nuance. That was an awesome nuance.
It was a Wildcat.
Right. Compared, it wasn't the Wildcat.
No, not formation.
It was the mindset that
Yeah.
something new came to the NFL, and then the magical thing of film had the rest of the league catch up to it.
Guys get paid
And
on
now
the other side.
Mike is, you know what he's doing? He's going back to the well, going back to the drawing board of what made him tick. And that was a Kyle Shanahan offense with Mike McDaniel's savviness to get a run game, right? And this is what they're doing. So I say, do more of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it has been a 15 plate glass strong window of strength in the run right now. Do not deviate from it. I'm begging you, Mike McDaniel. Do not deviate from it. You're down 13-3. Make it 13-10 via a 7-minute running attack.
That's going to determine if he's probably here next year or not. If he does, because if he does deviate it, they're not good. They'll win 7-8 games max. And I want to get to this comment. Curtis, you can see the culture in the building with this group. It's a fun group to watch. I appreciate all the comments in the show. Vass, you've been great. But I want to say you got to be careful. Because bottom line is, this is still a 6-7 football team. Like, what all the – I know it's true. We've seen this story before. I've seen this movie. And that's where we got to be careful. I call it like baseball in September. You call a kid up in September. He hits 305 home runs in 20 games. He comes back next year. You start him in April. He's hitting 188. It's different. You know what I mean? You got to be careful evaluating teams when they make these little late runs when you've seen it before. I'm just saying, it's nice, but we need to see more of a bigger, larger scale because this is not new. I've seen this movie. I know how it ends. I got to wait for the ending to be, but I can see your point. This is a group of guys. They like each other, but it's a 6-7 group of guys. You know, any guys got any thoughts on that?
Well, look, there's one thing being a head coach. There's one thing being an offensive coordinator. It's another thing being both. And, you know, we wouldn't have 2 playoff appearances. We wouldn't even have this bounce back if there wasn't some good traits to this guy. But the goal isn't to be good; it's to be great. And you got to ask yourself: Is he going to be great, and in what time frame? The lack of discipline, the inability to adapt, and the inability to create maybe a tough team. And we'll see about that this week. But there's issues here, and there's also stubbornness because why is it taking this long to simply get to the line of scrimmage? You know, why is it taking him so long to figure out, you know, run the damn football? He's the guy who said, I banged the table for EZ when Zach Tom was there. All these things you can grow through, but will he? And how much? And is the goal to be, you know, Marvin Lewis, do this for 10 years and never win a playoff appearance, or 10 years and win a playoff appearance? Or is it to have great? Can we get great? I don't know. So, yeah, there's some good stuff to this guy. There is some not so good stuff to this guy still. So
is he going to tap into the more – he's been tapping into more of the good stuff. And I want to say, Jason, if you have a comment, I'll let you go. Vass, great job in the chat, by the way. I love the interaction. And the one thing I'll say, you're right, it's a little different. Because now they created this – we talk about the new identity. And I'll tell you what, Mike will get me excited. If this is the new Mike McDaniel, I just don't – my history tells me – it's always short-lived. But I'll agree with you. It's a little different if they continue with this run, look at the stats that we read over the last 4 games, the running game, the amount of times they run. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Tyreek Hill injury. I think a lot of that changed when Tyreek left, but it still didn't change soon enough. Imagine if they did this with Tyreek Hill. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can have a Tyreek Hill kind of in the building with this little bit. I mean, his personality will accept it. But I'll agree. It is different if they continue this and this becomes a new identity of Mike, not just for this stop. Going forward for Mike, this is the way for him to win in the league because this is what separates. What separates you? There's a lot of parity in this league. What separates Mike from this next head coach? Because it's not rah-rah, locker room, motivational, leader of men. That ain't it. He's in the bottom of the league. I can come up with run game concepts. Your mind can't. Your brain can't even. Your defense can't even understand where we're coming from. He does that. He sticks with that. Finds a quarterback whether it's Tua or somebody else, I think it's going to be somebody else who can take advantage of that, even if it's a Brock Purdy level quarterback. Like, Tua's not on that level right now. He's playing where, like, I'm surprised. Like, I thought this Tua could win. You can win this kind of offense with the Tua Tagovailoa, you can win deep in the playoffs. I'm not even sure you can do that with this version of Tua. So I agree with you. It's different. It's different in that regard, that this will excite me if Mike use his advantage, because this is what Mike's advantage is, and he's finally tapping into it. The other stuff he did, like Curtis said, there's some not so good and there's some good. He needs to tap into the good. And the other stuff, the leader of men, that'll come with winning. That'll come with, the success and his concepts. And the guys know, hey, this guy is putting us in position to win. He's putting us, he's the reason these plays he's calling is a reason we're here. That'll gain him more respect, not this hyperprolific passing stuff. So, again, I agree, Voss. Thanks for your comments, too. And that's where it'll make it different. And that's what's fascinating to me for the rest of the season. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing him stick with the plan. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And yes, Jordan, I fully agree. This is the type of play in December and January. When you go through 4 games heading into December and the last quarter of the season, leading the league in rushing and leading the league in defensive points allowed, that is a 1 + 1 = 2 formula that will never change.
Yeah.
That's what you need to. I don't care if you're playing on the frozen tundra in Alaska. I don't care if you're playing in Honolulu. This is the formula.
You can play on Mars. We can line it up on Mars.
And you know what you don't want to do in Mars is throw the ball because the gravity will take it.
We lost the gravity. His name is Tyreek Hill.
Wow, very well said. Run, and then run some more. Your defense will benefit.
Yeah.
You can get out of Pittsburgh at 7-7. And then if they get to 7-7, you got a Bucs team who blew it against the Falcons. You got a Bengals team who might pack it in. You got a Patriots team that might rest all your starters.
Hey, it's fun. I was, you know what? As you get into it, we go 7. It gives us some. Listen, we want to see this team win. Ultimately, this year, I think even if they win 10, I think it's a hard shot to get in the playoffs the way the AFC is structured. But we cover this team. It's fun, right? It's like I can have my long picture, zoom out, negative kind of thoughts on the team long term if they keep the same kind of structure. But we all want the same thing. We want to see this team hold up a Lombardi trophy. We want to cover a winning team, and it's fun. But we're going to tell you honestly, we got to try to sift off what's real and what's not. But again, they get to 7-7. I think they can run the table. I mean, I really do.
I think they would get stopped in New England.
Well, I would say
if they're playing serious, if they're not resting the guys.
But listen,
they can stop the run.
I hate asking the football gods to make Patriots clinch, make the Patriots clinch in number 1. But if that happens and 1 or 2 dominoes fall the way that you want, the Dolphins could finish 10-7. And look, I know there's a very, very, very low percentage.
14 to 16%.
Exactly.
I calculate.
That is not something to hang your hat on.
No AI.
But they have the formula that if they sneak in, they could shock a lot of people. They got to stick to the formula. And Vass, I know I'm not putting my mortgage on it. I know that they're probably not going to the playoffs. But no. But what I would be extremely impressed if the Dolphins turn a 1-6 start into a 10-7 season. Now, impressed is not exactly happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that happiness
we're in the same. Some people say it's kind of the worst case, good enough to not be good enough again, and that's kind of that black hole. But it kind of depends how it ends. I want to see how Mike handles this if they continue running the ball. Because you run the ball at that rate from game 1 of a season, that's the key here. You're going to win games. You know what I mean? So you wanted to say something, Jason?
No, it's just if you end the season with an absolute strength of running the ball and you got a guy in HN who you could extend next year before he gets past next year for free agency. Yeah. You got 3 more years on a rookie contract of Ollie Gordon. You got 2 more years of a rookie contract on Jalen Wright. You could have sustained rushing success regardless of who your quarterback is. So if the quarterback vastly improves, gets 1 or 2 more weapons, things could be gravy. Or B, if you get another quarterback who might be physically better or skilled better, then that could be the icing on the cake for an actual improvement of your year-to-year team. So if they get to 10-7, playoffs or not, it's because of running the football. You improve your offensive line, you get another defender or two, you get another offensive weapon. All of a sudden, you're not looking at a restart, rebuild. You're looking at all right, this is a new identity of a football team. So it's a net zero, it's a net new. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
net new.
I agree. All right, let's move on to some key matchups quick. Then we'll get into our over-under game. Then we'll have some bold predictions. Key matchups I like Chubb. If Dylan Cook, the third string left tackles in, I'm looking at that matchup. Dolphins offensive line versus their pass rush is going to be huge. Pittsburgh safeties versus Jalen Waddle. Rasul Douglas versus DK Metcalf for me. Anybody else like any individual matchups in the game? Curtis or Jason, either one of you guys can jump in.
Go ahead, Curtis.
To me, look, we've been listening to, a lot of positivity around Jonah. Jonah's been talking about how he's doing, he feels like he's getting stronger. You look at the lineup, though, he's faced, it's been pretty poor. Hayward against Jonah is going to be a great test because this guy, you got big investment on. He does have potential. I still think he's struggling. I do see him doing better. I use context, so his opposition hasn't been fantastic. But if he can play reasonably well against a Hayward guy, that's going to say a lot that the stuff that, is kind of out in the ether and what he's talking about is maybe heading in the right direction. And if he gets dominated, then that's going to be concerning too. And it's going to be important because you don't want to get pressure up the middle. And so I think that's a big one for me. I always go offensive line, very simple.
Also, the line, the tackling versus these running backs in the flats, the linebackers. That's another one. Go ahead, Jason.
Minka Fitzpatrick has one career sack in his career. It came last week. I think he gets the second.
Hold on, your bold prediction. Is that your bold prediction?
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing. I think that not only will it be a sack, but I think it could be such a timely sack, such a well-designed sack that it could either lead to a fourth down, lead to a turnover, or in the boldest of ways, end the damn game.
Okay, so
how great would that be?
We'll all do our bold predictions, Jason.
Okay, I'll save it.
No, you did the bold. Let's just all do our bold.
The boldest of that prediction is that it's the fourth quarter. The Dolphins are up 17-13. So you need a touchdown if you're Pittsburgh. It's last play of the game. Aaron Rodgers back to pass, and Minka Fitzpatrick gets to the old man and just walk off sack. Minka Fitzpatrick. The story there is cinematic.
Jordan has his Chubb with 3 sacks, 1 strip sack. I'm in that lane. My bold prediction was Bradley Chubb, multiple sacks in this game, 2+. I think he's been playing well, and he's playing that young left tackle, Dylan Cook, because they're been on their. They just called him up for the practice squad, I think. So that's mine. I do think people are talking about the win and stuff. Another one is a little bit. I think Waddle could have a big game here. I think the matchup favors Waddle. It depends on the win. But bold prediction as to they think the passing game is going to be dead because of that. I think there's some big plays there if they can get it there. But I'll go with the Chubb 2+ sacks. Curtis, bold prediction. Tua doesn't. You always have a Tua.
Yeah, no picks for Tua. I think I'm running 3 weeks of that, man.
Hey, if he has
I've been winning that
picks,
one.
If he has no picks,
that's bold.
If he has no picks, the average per game is 1 per game. So that would be nice if that average stays. Yeah. I got one more offensive bold prediction. If I'm allowed.
You're allowed.
The Greg Dulcich line. 5 catches, 55 yards, a touchdown.
Oh, wow.
I like him, man. I like what I've seen on him. He's a nice pickup, man.
Yep.
Chop is sneakily coming up. Yeah, he's been trying. He has these moments. Chop does it in pockets. You know what I mean? the first 8 games versus the second 8 games, down the third 8 games of his career, all been up and down. So, sorry, fellas, Miami not making an appearance again. Yeah,
we're not betting on it.
Is that a
We're not
Steelers
betting
fan?
on it.
Well, Aaron, welcome aboard. We got a Steelers fan in the house.
Oh, I don't know if
Well,
that's
looking forward to the
the much
matchup
fun,
here.
you know. That. Let me see what
Dolphins
these guys are
defense,
talking
6
about. I don't
sacks.
know.
Jorge's bold prediction: Dolphins defense 6 sacks, 2 INTs, 1 pick sin. The wind is only going to be like 6 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's the gusto. It's not
The
the wind.
gust.
The wind's like 9, I think they said
Yeah.
on NFL weather. It's the gusto around 17.
All right.
And then you add the cold air. It's going to be 20 degrees, and that alters the trajectory a little bit. So
it's going to be. It's just not. This is
it
not
slows
New
it down when the air
guys
gets
are
dense
North-
because it's cold. It
I'm
slows
the-
the velocity.
I'm the South Florida guy. You guys are the weather code experts, but Jason said this ain't nothing like the 45-degree weather that was in New York.
I'm a New York, New Jersey guy, and to have that kind of weather in the first week of December, people barbecue outside.
Yeah.
Shirts off, right? Me, I'm like covered in not that quite. All
Halfway
right.
through the game, I needed to take the jacket off because I was a little warm.
Okay. For me, I'm
Yeah,
like
they bumped it
bundled
up. They bumped it up to 18 miles an hour. So it is.
Okay.
That's
All
it's
right.
going to be a thing.
Look, Curtis's favorite game, the over/under game. Let's start with Tua. Passing yards 195.5. The under has hit 8 out of the last 13 at that line. Sarni, over/under Tua 195.5.
At best, a push. I'm going to go 185 on 17 to 26 throwing.
So I'm going to go slightly under as well. Not much, slightly. Kind of with you, Jason. Curtis?
I'm going under.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be around 145, 150.
1.5 TDs. The unders hit 7 out of 13 at that line. Are you going over under 1.5 touchdowns, Jason, for Tua Tagovailoa?
I'm going to go with one touch. I'm going to go one touchdown. He averages 185 yards a game this year.
I'm going under.
So I'm gonna say that he gets that touchdown because I literally just said that Dolchich is getting a touchdown. So if that's the one touchdown, you throw a rushing touchdown in there, a couple of field goals, and they get to 17 to 24 points. That's where I'm at. And I got one touchdown and 188 yards for Tua in a win because they run.
Yeah, Aaron looks like he's from Aaron. I believe you have a Pittsburgh photo, so seems like you're up there. You said weather's going to be in the single digits, fellas.
Yeah, they say 10. It's going to feel like 10 degrees with the wind chill.
Yeah, it's this is different. This is a test. Yeah.
Oh, ask him. Helen, ask him. Southwest. It's blowing southwest. How does the wind? Here, I got a really good question. Oh, this is awesome. Thanks for coming on, brother. Which direction does the wind blow and what side of the field? That's going to be important because is it crosswind, headwind, tailwind, and what direction?
All right. Well,
if only Aaron was like a pilot, he could really go.
Well, he probably knows. He might even go to the games.
Aaron, thanks for joining. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know we're Dolphin territory, but we really appreciate these kind of even the opposite fan base. It gives a different perspective. You know
I bet you crosswind.
Thank you.
And George is playing. Chat playing along in the over under. He'll get 2. We got earmuffs. We're good. All right. So Curtis, did you like the over under on the TDs of 1.5 for Tua?
1. I'm going 1.
Under. You're going under. 28.5 pass attempts. If they want to win, it better be under. Jason.
What was it? What was the question?
28.5 pass attempts. I say under if they want to win.
It's under.
If they want to win.
The funny thing is, one book earlier in the week had it at 29.5, which is not 30. It's that 30 range. If you go over, you're saying 30 plus. But I'm going to say that the need won't be there to go over. The running game will work. And I think we're going to be at, like I said, like 24 to 26 passing attempts. That's not a bad thing.
You're going under, Curtis?
I was just listening. What was the question? I was just listening to Jason.
Passing attempts for Tua.
No, under.
Yeah. All right, Waddle.
Under. I think 22, 23.
Waddle, 62 yards receiving. The unders hit 7 out of 13 at that line. I'm going to go over. I think he's got some opportunities. 65, 70 yards. Nothing crazy. Curtis, over or under the 62 yards receiving for Waddle?
Under. Sorry, I'm checking the AI for the wind direction.
That's okay. Jason, over under 62 yards for Waddle.
Wow. I'm going to go over, because it could take one or two passes to get a really big play. If you were going over under like 7 receptions, I'd go under. But I think that the run game can set up one of those really nice plays, whether it's a mid-range pass where Waddle could just hit it and then go 25 yards after a 15-yard catch that in one play. So I think he finishes around like 70
the opportunity will be there.
I think the opportunity
whether they connect or not is the issue.
Correct. The volume may not, but the heavy aspect of one or two pass plays could be there.
On sticking with Waddle, we'll stay with you, Jason. 4.5 receptions.
I'm gonna go.
You overseen 8 out of the last 8 of the 13.
I'll say the line at over at 5 catches, 73 yards.
I'm over. Yeah,
73.
I'm around there. 5 for 70, something like that. Curtis, 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll try to be different. 68 yards, but 5 catches.
Okay, so you're going over on that. All right, A-Chain, 79.5 yards rushing. The over has hit 7 out of 13, but he's at 4 straight. I hope it's over. If they win, it's over. But he's hit that 4 straight games. I'm going to go over. Jason?
I definitely say this with a tiny bit of trepidation because I hope the rib injury is okay.
Yes,
I'm going to go over, but if for all the gamblers out there, check that rushing and receiving combined number because this would be a really good game to get Achane also back to the outside of the hash marks and get that quick pass to him. Let him avoid running through the big uglies, which he should do a lot. But again, 20-plus touches for Achane, they will win. And I think the over-under combined yardage should be around 98 to 102. And I think you go over.
We got the other one. We got the receptions and receiving yards.
Okay.
All right, Curtis, 79.5 yards rushing, over, for Mr. Devon Achane.
Over.
I hope it's over. And again, the only thing, like Jason mentioned, the hip injury, the rib injury, could it re-aggravate in the game, things like that. That's it. Maybe they want to lessen. So attempts, 17.5. The unders hit 8 out of the last 8 of the 13 this season, but he's hit that 3 out of the last 4. 17.5 attempts. The rib has got me normally I would say yes. I'm going to still go over. I think he gets 19, 20 attempts.
And Cat, I know his rushing plus reception is always over 110. I'm taking into account the rib injury that it comes down a little bit. What is the combined, George? Do you have that? The over-under? What the mark is?
I can find it for you, though.
Look, on a normal day, absolutely, you're 100% right. I'm taking off 10, 15 yards in my mind because of the injury and because of the other backs hopefully getting work.
I got the rush receiving 111.5.
All right. Fair.
So that's what. So you like the under then, right?
I mean, I think that he's very capable of going over as he's shown. But again, if there wasn't a rib injury, I'd smash it. Yeah. But I'm a little.
Yeah. So 17.5 attempts. I'm going to go over slightly but the rib concerns me. I'm cautious going over. I don't love this number. Jason?
I mean, ideally you go over because if you're looking at the over, if you're looking at the record of the Dolphins when Achane rushes 20-plus times, they're undefeated.
Curtis, 17.5 rushing attempts. Achane goes over.
I think they're going to try to feed him because they got to win this game. But Jason said, and you said, the rib injury plus the cold.
Yeah,
if you ever played, that's going to be. That's going to test it, man. That's going to really test his threshold for pain. And, you have to watch, too. He's a smaller guy. And all these guys, that's one of the hardest. When it's that cold, man, your limbs get numb and you kind of throw yourself around a little bit more. It's a little bit more dangerous. So I'm going to go over because I think they're going to do it, but you never know. It could be a big restriction.
Last two is receptions, 4.5. We'll combine it. 4.5 receptions and then 27.5 yards. Each of those. Jason, you first do the 4.5 receptions and then the 27.5 yards. You like them over and under on those?
I mean, crazy enough, when Achane has like a ton of receptions, that doesn't necessarily translate into wins.
The 4.5 receptions, the overs hit 7 out of 13 at that line, but the unders hit 7 out of 13 on the 27.5. To your point, he'll catch 4 or 5 balls, but it'll be for like 25 yards. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to go over. I'm going to go over on the receptions, but under on the yards, I think. I'm just going to go with the trend.
The crazy thing is the Dolphins are 1-6 when he goes Like, no, I'm sorry, 1 in 5 when he gets 7 or more catches.
Yeah,
So
it's the running game with him.
it's crazy. So I think I'm gonna go slightly under and saying that like 4 receptions on like 6 targets would probably be the way to go.
And the yardage.
And the yardage, listen, it's Achane, so I have to go over just because of the
okay.
All
right, Curtis,
Achane.
4.5.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm going to go under because I think they're going to want to restrict his snaps and want to try to probably save it for the run game. So I'm going to go under on both.
On both. All right. So that's our we did the bowl predictions. Now our final score predictions. I'll go first. I think this is a close game, lower scoring. I think the Dolphins win. I think the difference is I think the matchup. I think they'll run the ball. I think they'll get enough in the passing game. I think the defense will do enough that they don't have a big running game with the Steelers, and I think the way the defense has been playing, they hold them. I'm going to go 2017 Miami. Curtis.
I don't know. I'm very, I don't know how they're going to play, who's going to be injured. I'll say 23-20 Dolphins. Why not? We have the run game. There's no way. I think just from a statistical, physical edge, talent edge, health edge, we should win. But, there's more than that involved. So, but I'm going to say, why not? It's Monday night. I'll say 23.
Oh, the half reception on the betting is, so what happens if they say 4.5, you have to get 5. Or
it eliminates the push.
It eliminates the push. Yes, that's simple. Best way to put it, Jason.
Yep.
Okay. Jason, we'll end it with you. Your prediction: do the Dolphins get a victory? Do they make it 5 in a row and 6? Would it be 6 out of the last 7 or 5 out of the last 6?
5 out of the last 6. No, 6 of the last 7, 5 in a row.
Yeah. Are they going to do it?
They are going to do it if they stick to the formula. They are going to do it if they protect the ball and their defense shows up the way they have been and they run over 30-plus times. I have it. Look, I said that it's going to be a 4-point game and maybe the last possession of the game, I'm sticking to it. I'm going to go with 23-19 for a little bit of differentiation. Yeah. Jordan, I love the score prediction. I'm with you there. But, yeah, the Steelers offense will need a touchdown in the last possession, and I'm thinking Minkah Fitzpatrick has the greatest homecoming you can have, sending those Steeler folks home upset, going over the bridges, not happy.
And Aaron, shout out to Aaron.
Oh, look at this.
Aaron, Curtis, go ahead, Curtis. This is your question you asked.
This is a Curtis word. Confluence. That's a Curtis word.
Way too much for me.
As my man OJ McDuffie says, that's a mayonnaise word.
This is going to lead after to Curtis's segment. Jason, I don't know if you know, Curtis has a segment to end the show. He does but yeah, Curtis, here you go. I live in the Berg. The stadium sits at the confluence of 3 rivers. The stadium is right next to the water pretty much. It's going to feel extremely cold for whoever's in that stadium. So, very nice.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for, we got the enemy.
Yeah, good luck, brother.
Lines here. Good luck, but not Monday. Not too much. We appreciate it, man. Follow the channel. Maybe you like some more content. We got a lot of draft stuff too. So, make sure everybody is following and subscribe. Because don't forget, we got Literature Hour. But first, 2 books we're giving away on the 22nd. Our Christmas special, recapping the game, we're giving first Armando Salguero's book, 100 Things Dolphin Fans Should Know Before They Die. And then Dave Hyde's book, Still Perfect, The Untold Story of the 72 Dolphins. Both great books. Guys, make sure you're a subscriber. Make sure you comment on the videos. You like them, and you comment on the video comments, and we'll take a bunch of names and announce the winner on the 22nd for the holidays. So appreciate all you guys have been supporting this channel throughout this year. I can't tell you how much enough we appreciate it. All right. All that good stuff. Curtis, take us home with your piece of literature.
I found a very, very rare, very little known copy of Henry V Shakespeare. And it's going to surprise a lot of Dolphin fans. So I hope you enjoy. Once more into the breach, dear Finn fans, once more, when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of a tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage, then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head like a brass cannon, let the brow overwhelm it, not set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath and bend up the spirit to its full height. Be copy now of men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in South Florida, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like the 70s Dolphins in the slip, straining upon the surf. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit upon this charge. Cry, God, for Achan, Miami, and St. Shula.
Now that was a confluence of literature and football, and I love
It's a
it.
little known version.
How about this? I got an idea.
Like the Dolphins?
Why don't the Dolphins hire Curtis to come in the locker room before the game and give one of his great speeches? And if you're not following this show on Saturdays, you're missing out. You better subscribe to this show because where else you getting Curtis?
Like Will Shakespeare and Don Shula had a kid.
I'm ready to play. I got goose. I'm ready to run out through the brick wall for Curtis here. Curtis, throw your hat in the head coaching position here.
Yeah, right.
Mike lacks what you have, Curtis. So, Ore says, I believe the Dolphins win 12-9 due to the weather. Close game. When you feel go 2 seconds left, go Fins. Jordan Murray.
That'd be a pretty crazy game. 12-9. Could you imagine that?
Well,
that's a nail biter.
We've gone almost 2 hours. This is what happens when you get us three together. So I appreciate everybody in the chat. Guys, make sure you're liking the video, subscribe. Your chance to win again on the 22nd. We're going to give that out on our show. And also, Monday night, we'll be here live right after the game. Make sure you're joining the best post-game show in town. You never know who's going to show up live right after the game. Click on
Aaron, show up for it. Seriously.
Yes, Aaron, show up for the post-game show.
Open invite, brother.
Yeah, open invite to the post-game show. No matter what happens, come on in the chat. So make sure you not only subscribe, but turn your notifications on YouTube. That lets you know you don't miss it. It lets you know when we're live, so you don't have to find out when we're going live. You have the notification. So I appreciate it. Everybody, we'll see you Monday night after the game. Hopefully 5 in a row for the Dolphins and 6 out of the last 7. Trying to get back to 500. For Curtis, for Jason, for myself, guys, everybody stay healthy, stay safe. Fins up. Happy holidays. We'll see you on Monday night.
Yippee-ki-yay.